All right, so we're gonna fill this out that first off, if she is, the first table is just if she doesn't put any money into the 401k. And the second table is if she puts in $100 a month. So her gross pay, that's just dividing by 12 her annual salary. So that was 3,000. So then her gross pay minus the contribution, still 3,000. And then we have an estimate here. And we have an estimate here that her income taxes are 15% of her pay.
For gross pay contribution.
Gross pay, take away her contribution is what that's saying. It's just saying this is, we're gonna subtract the contribution from her. 3,000. Yes, I was, sorry. When I let Jess into the meeting, then my screen disappeared and then I have to click undo and it took the 0 off, so. Yeah, there's only $300 left, sorry. So her income taxes, we're gonna do 15% of her gross of this amount, so times 0.15. So it should be $450.
45 through for you do the whole 36,000.
Well, but we want to know just for a month. In this table, we want to know just for the month. And so her take-home pay for 1 month would be $2,550. And I just got that by subtracting the income taxes from the gross pay. So let's look at what happens if she invests $100 each month in the 401. Your 401 is taken out before taxes. So you don't get taxed on that money. You get taxed on that money when you take it out during retirement. So the gross pay is still 3,000, but now this is 2,900.
The incomes and the tax still 450.
No, because the taxes are,
29.
the tax is going to get figured on this line, not the gross, because you're not getting taxed on the part that you put in your retirement. You'll get taxed on that money when you withdraw it. And the idea, or at least the thought is, by the time you withdraw it, you'll probably be at a lower tax bracket. Also that it's more money that's growing in the meantime. So her take-home pay, $2,465. So how much is she saving in income taxes? Or just in one pay period? $15, good. And then how much less is her take-home pay? Yeah, how much less is her take-home pay? The take-home pay changes by,
Actually, she takes more, right?
no,
24.
so it changes by $85. So it doesn't reduce her paycheck by the whole $100 because she saves $15 in taxes. So she's got $100 for later. The government got $15 less. It only cost her $85 right now. How'd I get the 15? If I looked at the two income taxes, the income tax on the left was $450. The income tax on the right was $435. So I could just subtract them. So her person from HR, Human Resources, has told her that the company will match 50% of her 401k contributions. And by the way, if you ever have the chance to be matched, you want to max that out as much as you can. Otherwise, you're leaving money on the table. Basically, they're willing to pay you more money and you're not taking it if you're not willing to save so that they match it. So now we're gonna go back. She's just said, hey, if they're gonna match half of it, then I want to contribute more. So she's gonna contribute 150. This is not changing her gross. It's still that 3,000. So now her gross pay after her contribution, 2,850. And then that's what we're gonna figure her taxes on. So that's what we'll multiply times. So 427.50. Yes. So $2,422.50. And we got that by subtracting the income taxes from the gross pay minus the contribution. So her new take-home pay, that's just our last line there, $2,422.50. How much money annually is she going to contribute to the 401k? 1,800. Good. How'd you get that?
150 times 12.
Yes, 150 times 12, because her this is for a month in the table. How much is the company going to contribute then? They will match 50% of her amount. So 1,800 times 0.50. What's half? 50%, half. So $900.
If she's paying 100.
She's paying 150 now, right? In this table, doesn't it say 150 now?
I thought it was like she was paying 100 and then they paid $50.
No, she's saying this inspired her to raise hers, just what she's taking.
They're paying 75. 75 times 12.
Yes, or since we already have her 1,800, we could just do 1,800 divided by 2. But yes, 75 times 12 should also give us $900. So how much total is going to be invested during the year? How much is
1,800?
So how much total is going into her 401k?
18 plus 9.
Right, so $2,700. So her contributions and the company's contributions. So $2,700. And now in E, I'm just going to write it right here for now. In E, we're supposed to write a ratio that represents the company's annual contributions to the total amount. So how much is the company investing each year? 900. And the total amount? What's the total amount we just came up with in D? 2,700. And then we're going to reduce that. 90 over 270, which would be 9 over 27, which would be 1/3. So our meaningful sentence, we could say 1/3 of the money invested comes from the company, or 1 out of every $3 invested comes from the company. We could say 33 1/3% because it is a part to total. So if Celeste remains with the company for 40 years, she would eventually have deposits, the contributions from both her and the company, that add up to $108,000. That's just the deposits, not including any interest. How much of that would have been provided by the company? If the total after 40 years is 108,000, how much came from the company?
54,000.
We just said the company put in 1 out of every 3, right? 54,000 would be half and half, that they match her the same. They put in the same as she does. No. So we just said the company and the total, right? We just came up with that ratio. So if we know the total is 108,000. If we just cross multiply and divide, or divide it by 3, 36,000 for the company.
And then 80,000.
Hmm.
I put 180,000.
Oh. Yes. I thought you were just randomly coming up with wild numbers. So this would just be how much money is in there if she got no interest, if it didn't earn any money. But let's say she put it into something that was relatively safe, but also guaranteed to get 2.99% interest annually. Then we could use future value. And we could use it, we wouldn't want to figure that percentage on the whole amount because it's going in as payments. So just like how we could figure out the amount of a mortgage that we could take out, we can use future value to think how much money will I have if I am contributing a certain amount. So it's still the monthly interest rate, number of deposits, deposit amount. The deposit amount,
Plus.
where is the, no, it's still negative.
Really?
Mhm. It's still put in as a negative. So where does 225 come from? So they have the formula already written for us. Where does 225 come from?
Since Celeste is paying 150 and the company
Yes,
is
good.
contributing
Yes,
50%.
it's the less
75.
150 and the company's 75. Okay.
Okay, so I was gonna ask a question, I was confused back on the I did understand if they each were giving 900, or if it was the 1,800 and the company gives an extra 900, that's half, that's what I was gonna ask.
Yes,
That's
she for the whole year puts in 1,800 and the company matches that by 50%. So they put in 900. Or like in this case, we're looking at it for the month. She's putting in 150, they're putting in 75. And that's why the contribution amount here, the deposit amount is 225, because that would be what would be put into her deposit each time is 225. And so when we put that in, they already gave us the answer here that it would be $207,868.17 at the end of the 40 years. So now it says how much more is in her account than what she invested. So how much did she actually invest total over the 40 years?
$72,000.
72,000. So if we take the total amount that's in there and subtract the 72,000, and we could have gotten the 72,000 two different ways. We could have went 150 times 40 times 12. Or we could go back to that 108, and if the company put in 36,000, Celeste must have put in the other 72,000. So we could kind of think of it like Celeste gets $135,868.17 of like extra money, because that's the amount over what she actually put in. So she is so excited looking at this. She has decided she wants to increase her monthly contribution to $200 instead of just $150. So if she increases her part of the contribution to 200, how much is, just for a month, how much would the company contribute? Okay, I heard two different numbers.
Go.
300.
That's how much the company
No,
would
no,
contribute.
that's total.
That would be total. So the question though says what would her company contribute?
100.
100, yes.
801.
Hello, why am I can't write? La 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 la. Mhm. So the company is going to contribute 100. And then Celeste is putting in 200. And then we want to figure out what is the balance now after 40 years. So now basically we're using that same future value that they used above, except where it was 225, now it's going to be 300. So Mohammed, you are going to use 300 in that formula. So we'll have future value. This is where we put in our interest rate as a decimal, and it's for the month, so we divide it by 12. And then this is where the comma, because this is what we would type in to the spreadsheet. 12 times 40, because that's how many times the money is put in. And then last is how much we're putting in each time. So she's putting in an extra, she's gonna put in an extra $50 a month from what she did before. And then her company is gonna be putting in more. And then at the end, instead of having 207,000, she's gonna have, what you guys, did you look on the chart? Why am I not? It's not,
Yeah, it's available. 277,000.
yes, $277,157.56. So then figure out how much of that money was deposited by Celeste, how much was deposited by the company, and then how much interest.
96,000 by Celeste.
96,000 by Celeste, yes. So then how much by the company?
40. 48,000.
Mm-hmm. So Celeste, 96,000. So 200 times 40 times 12, or times 12 times 40, however you want to do that. And then the company, 100 for 480 times. So 48,000. So then how much interest was earned on the account? How can we figure out how much of it was interest? Hmm?
277,
That's not all interest. That's the total amount in the account.
135. Use the
I didn't come up with 135.
I said 277 minus 135.
How about 277 minus 144,000? So wouldn't the interest be if we take the future value and we subtract how much Celeste put in and subtract how much the company put in? So basically subtracting all deposits. Because it was, the money that's in there is either interest, or it's money deposited by Celeste, or it's money deposited by the company. So I came up with $133,157.56. So what would you say is the total amount that she would profit? Kind of like what I called kind of the free money before. So if I thought about what she's profiting, I would consider that to be the interest
I'm gonna say my best.
and what her company's putting in, right?
Oh, yeah.
181.
181, 157, 56, yes. So you could get that a couple ways. You could take the future value minus her contributions. Or you could take, so you could do the future value minus her contributions. Or you could take this interest and add the company. The 48,000 to the interest, right? So what she's profiting is,
33 plus 48.
yes. So 181,157.56. All right, turn the next page, and I want to go down to the part that says, the second example. The second example, which is about a 529 plan. Have you heard of a 529 plan, Mohammed?
It's for college, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is for college savings plan. In the state of Indiana, a 529 plan, you can get 20% back on your state taxes. So, you're already getting like a 20% return up to putting in $5,000. So if you put $5,000 in it for your children's future college, then you would get $1,000 back on your Indiana state taxes. So then it's basically like you're only actually investing $4,000. I speak of this because when my son was in college, I actually was still putting the money in. I would put it in the plan before December 31st so I could get the $1,000 back. And then I would use it, like after it'd been in there a week, I would use it to pay his next tuition. So I really wasn't earning, it wasn't sitting there. Some of it wasn't sitting there long enough to actually earn any interest. But I was getting, basically I was allowing the state to pay 20% of that $5,000 instead of me. So very much still, this is still future value. So thinking ahead, thinking about when you use which of these things, future value, we're trying to figure out how much you're going to have in the future. And in this case, they're saving monthly. And they want to do that until she turns 18.
Assuming that you just born.
Yes. And that they started this immediately. Yes. They have a new baby daughter. They started it immediately. So, and their estimate is that they're going to get 4% on this plan. So 0.04 divided by 12, 18 times 12. Or you could just figure out what 18 times 12 and use that number. But whatever is between those commas is the number of monthly payments. Or the number of payments, I should say. And they're paying $50 each time. And so after 18 years. $15,779.62. How much would her parents have to put into the account? $10,800. So in whatever order you want, you need to multiply the 50 times 18 times 12. You could think of it like 50 times 12. That would be for 1 year. They're doing it for 18 years. So yes, $10,800. How much interest will the account have earned? So we're just doing a subtraction between B and C. $4,979.62. Also, this would be well within the amount, like each year. They would have, in Indiana at least, they could have gotten back 20% of that $10,800 on their taxes. So they would have gotten back $2,160 of that, which would kind of again be like free money or lessen their investment amount. So when they look at that and they're like, oh wow, 15,000, I don't, like that's how much going to be in there, but man, college tuition is really expensive. And gosh, that many years from now, it's going to be even more. So they decide they're going to increase it to $100 a month. So use your same, we would have our same calculation, except the 50 would be 100. And then how much would that make that balance? Yeah, that would be the 31,559. So notice that it's not just twice as much. It's actually, but it is really close here because 31,000. Did I get that? Is that where that was? 31,000?
But if you put in 5,000 a year.
Yeah, when my son was in school, then we started putting in for my daughter when she was younger, like 5. And not knowing is she gonna get scholarships, you don't know what's gonna happen. And so she did end up getting some scholarships that pay like half her tuition. And then she has a scholarship from my husband's work. So her tuition is pretty much covered with her scholarships. And so the money we put into 529 plan is covering her room and board, so that she can live on campus. And then my husband's like, so looks like she might have money left in there. What are we going to do with it? I said, well, we'll either change it into an account for the grandchildren, or one of us can also use it.
You still can use it for other purposes.
You could take it out for other purposes, but you're going to get taxed.
So it doesn't have to be this school. You could move it to a 401k, let's say.
But like the 20% that I got back on Indiana taxes, I would have to pay that back if I have a non-qualified distribution. So you're kind of locked into what it needs to be spent for. It can be spent for education for that beneficiary, or you can
So it can be for another benefit?
Yes, like I could transfer it to my grandchildren, or the little bit that was left in my son's when he finished. I changed it to I changed it to my daughter at the time. And then, but yeah, like, so if my daughter doesn't spend everything we put in there, I could take it out, but I'm just gonna get reamed on taxes and stuff.
Daughter needs a new car for school.
Yeah, that would be kind of, I would be.
And if you don't add to it, it's still cumulatively at 4%.
Well, you have different ways that you can invest it, kind of like a mutual fund. So you can have it in something very safe. Typically with the way they're structured is like the further your child is away from college, you can make it riskier. So it could be more, but it could also lose. So the losing is kind of a scary proposition. But the 20% that I got back immediately, as long as I, as long as I don't lose more than 20%, I've come out okay. So at this point, like now that we're drawing off of it, of course, we have it in the basically like a savings account kind of deal where it's not losing anything, but it's really not gaining. It's just they're waiting to be used. But with the market right now, it'd be a scary time to have it elsewhere. All right, let's look at Kane and Albert. And Albert decides to start saving early, and Kane says, man, I want to do all these things. I don't want to save money. And so we're going to think about what they're going to have at the end of 40 years. So for Albert, he's going to start young, and he says, I'm going to put in $100 every month for 40 years. So altogether, he's going to put in $48,000. That's how much he's contributing. And then we're going to find his future value. So we know future value for him. Said that we can do this at 3.99, so 0.0399 divided by 12. So 480 times he's going to make a payment of $100 or a deposit of $100. So we should be able to find that in the table below, so you don't have to get out a Chromebook to do that. And that is $117,901.25. And then how could I figure out how much interest he earned?
Amount minus 48.
Yeah, if you take that future value minus the 48,000. So basically, if it's in there at the end and he didn't contribute it, it must be the interest. So $69,901.25. Okay, now Kane has said, I'll wait 20 years, but it's okay because I'm going to put in $200 every month. So he's just going to do it for 20 years, $200 a month. So he is going to contribute as much. He's going to contribute $48,000. But figure out how much his future value is going to be. So the interest is going to be 25,000. His future value was 73, right? 73,272.55. So what he earned in interest, he invested the same amount, but he didn't invest until later, so it wasn't sitting there growing as long. What he earned in interest was $25,272.55. And so if we wrote a ratio of Kane's interest to Albert's interest, so that would be the smaller, the 25,000 something on top, Albert's on the bottom. And I came up with something like this, long and messy. So I said, and you could state this a lot of different ways. I said Kane earned about 36 cents for every dollar that Albert earned in interest.
Did you say that he gained 14 to Albert. Kane earned almost half or more than half of.
He didn't earn more than half.
Loss.
He had less than half, right?
Less, lost less than half of what Albert,
So,
but it's
right, that's the reference part, right? So in C, if we want to say how much did he lose by starting 20 years later, that would be our subtraction. Just subtract the amounts that they had in interest. And then we have a chance to compare them the other way, but using relative change, so using a percent. So if I subtract them, we can find out that Kane will say lost, or he ended up with $44,628.70 less because he started later. And then if I compare Albert's balance to Kane's balance using relative change. Relative change, that's where we subtract it to get the top number. And then we're comparing it to Kane. So Kane is the bottom number. So we should have the 44,628.70 on top. And, well, that's not the balance, I'm sorry. No, that's fine. That's the difference. And then Kane's balance is 73,272.55 on the bottom. I was better than I thought. And then when I divided that, anybody else have something to what you get when you divided that? Yeah, so 0.609. So we could say Albert earns 61% more than Kane. Notice the person I'm referencing is the one after the then. So if we did it the other way, we did not come up with a number like 61. And that's what you were kind of getting at before, right? It's like more than half.
What did you put the bottom number?
The bottom number, I use 73,272.55. So I use their difference on the top, 44,628.70. So you did 44,628.70 divided by 73,272.55.
Yes, I got 0.604.
Did I look at my calculator bad? Maybe it should just be 60%.
It is 60.69.
You have 9 also? Okay. 44,628.7 divided by 73,272.55. They're so close, so one digit being off. Yeah, I have 0.609.
Can you round that to 61% or not?
Yeah, 61% is okay. Chris is coming up with 0.064, and I was just trying to figure out, I was just double checking my calculation to make sure I didn't look at the calculator wrong. Right process, but I got keyed in opposite way. Okay, so tomorrow's plan is to do homework 12 and the practice test. So you know what that means. You're at the, well, you know what it means because you're at the end of your binders. You know it has to be, we have to be getting close. And then that means Wednesday is test.
Do we have a test and then a final?
Mm-hmm.